Hello, Jamaica. So this is a breaking news situation, and I want to talk about it. So we're going to. I received additional information. So while I was doing my work, remember I promised you guys that I'm going to do or speak on the Andrew Wheatley situation, and I had to stop mid-editing, and I had to decide to skip and speak about this. So, US sources threatened to revoke visas of ordinary Jamaicans, prompted the government to sign the TCN Third Country National Deal. So, this was actually posted by the Nationwide. So, according to Nationwide News understands that the threat of the random Jamaican citizens having their non-immigrant visa revoked by US authorities gave the impetus to the decision by the Holness administration to agree to action a plan with the counterparts in the Washington to accommodate so-called third country national seeking to transit to another country via Kingston. Now, this threat of wide-scale visa revocation was mooted by at least two U.S. government officials. The Trump administration has for several months been lobbying the Holness administration to join at least 23 other countries across the globe under the Third Country National Agreement. Sources close to the U.S. government tells our news center that the Washington was not amused by what is perceived to be the tardiness of the Jamaican government in agreeing to the deal. The sources also say that the US pulled the visa revocation card as a means of hastening the steps of the Jamaican government. So, essentially, what happened was that and this is what I gather from the news. The Jamaican government genuinely didn't want to do this. They did not want to be a part of this. And so the Trump administration pulled they're going to revoke the visa and basically ban Jamaica, essentially, so that, persons won't have access to the US market and, being able to travel to the US. So it was the visa deal that was pulled, which hastened it. So all the way I said, Horace Chang, I said, apparently it is inaccurate. Apparently what would have happened was the idea, it was spinned, or they tried to spin the story to say, it was a bilateral agreement and they decided it and they were the ones who initiated it. No, it was not a Jamaican government who initiated it. It was Washington DC that initiated it. And I recall, because again, they were going to various other countries. They were going to various other Caribbean countries, right? And so I noticed that I didn't hear anything about Jamaica. They did come to Jamaica. They did. It's just that Jamaica really and truly never want to do it. And so because of that, it was a threat. A threat was pulled, and so that is why Jamaica eventually had to give in. Now, some persons may look at this and still may not want to believe. Some persons may say that this is a conspiracy theory. Well, I have another video where Rubio said this. Check this out.
We are actively searching for other countries to take people from third countries. So we are active, not just El Salvador, we are working with other countries to say, we want to send you some of the most despicable human beings to your countries. Will you do that as a favor to us? And the further away from America, the better, so they can't come back across the border. I'm not apologetic about it. We are doing that. The president was elected to keep America safe and to get rid of a bunch of perverts and pedophiles and child rapists out of our country.
You see that there. We are actively working with other countries to send these other countries the most despicable persons, and he's not apologizing for it. Why should we take on your trash? Why should we take on what you don't want? And this is why, again, I complain about the Holness administration in that you keep on strengthening our dependency on this country. So again, when they say jump, we have to say how high. This is blatant disrespect. Blatant disrespect of the sovereignty of this country. Why should we take up your garbage? That's your problem. We don't have nothing for doing that. Why should Jamaica take up your problem? I have a problem with this. I have a great problem with this. And so the sovereignty of Jamaica comes into question because apparently we have to answer to other people because you are a bully. Essentially, well, we've always known about this, and for me personally, I genuinely stay out of anything that America is doing because if it not for the Jamaica, me stay out of it. But this is inherently affecting us. How dare you? So you're going to give us what? Your worst person. So I'm now again skeptical of when Horace Chang also said that these persons are not criminals because the American Secretary of State, which is essentially the Foreign Affairs Minister, he would play the role, Marco Rubio would play the role as the Foreign Affairs Minister for United States, stated out plainly, and he's not apologizing for it, that he would send other countries the most despicable people, and he's not apologizing for it. So we, the other countries, must be your footstool because you don't want them in your... Send them to their countries. If the people... I understand if you're going to deport Jamaicans. Obviously, if the person is a Jamaican, regardless of whether or not he's a despicable person, if the individual is a Jamaican, send him back to Jamaica. Fine, free. But I don't want a despicable Trinidadian. I don't want a despicable somebody from Ecuador. I don't want a despicable person from Mexico. I don't want a despicable person from Colombia. That has nothing to do with we. The government of Jamaica needs to act. And we need to take our hands out of the lion's mouth. I fully understand that where Jamaica is in terms of the economics and our country in terms of our GDP and how we have to heavily depend on the United States. But at this point, at this time, we have to do things right now. We have to invest in economies that will push us further away from the US. We cannot be heavily consumers of the US. They're a big bad bully. And here's the reality, right? What if somebody worse comes into office? What if somebody worse than Donald Trump goes into office? You never think about that? When I speak about how much I don't like tourism, y'all don't understand. The concept of World War III is no longer a matter of if it is going to happen. It is a matter of when it is going to happen. And we must use common sense. When World War takes place, do you think any normal person is going to be busy booking flights for vacation, coming to Jamaica, when a World War is taking place? And again, I fully understand, because what irritates me with some viewers when I'm going to come and chat about, but Jamaica not have this and Jamaica not have that. I'm fully aware of Jamaica's standing. I'm fully aware of that. But does that mean we're supposed to sit down like lying ducks and wait for our fate? Does that mean that we're just to sit down and just roll over and die? Is that what it means? Is that what it means? We're here being distracted about cell phone recordings in Parliament when it make no sense, because at the end of the day, right, we're already, the fact that I can stay from my desk and YouTube and watch you, the fact is Parliament is already being recorded. So whether or not a politician, a member of Parliament records it in Parliament, we're seeing the same thing. It doesn't make a difference. It's not like, oh my gosh, it's a breach of privacy. There's no breach of privacy if we're already seeing it, if the whole world can see it. So we're here being busy, being distracted by pointless information where we should be focused on this. This is a national crisis. This is a compromise in the democracy of the Jamaican state and the sovereignty of Jamaica. I don't care what the US want to do in their country, but we should also be able to have the latitude to do whatever we want, and we should also be able to say no. You got upset about our tardiness and the fact that we were going around. Because really and truly, what was happening, the Holness administration did a go in the bush, and they really didn't want to do it, so then they go in the bush. Really and truly, that did happen. And so because you got upset, so you started to threaten visa restriction. Wow. So as I was saying, guys, I fully understand where Jamaica is. I fully understand the fact that we don't have a lot of money and certain things we can't do. I'm not saying that we must just jump up and say absolutely not and whatever to America, because if we pull a revolution, I go problem free. But at the same time, I need to see my prime minister. I need to see the government of Jamaica that we elected, that I voted for. I need to see you working assiduously in ensuring that the Jamaican economy is strong enough and independent of the United States. That is what I need you to do. That is within your capability. This is not something that is this is not any rocket science. This is within the capability of the Jamaican government. That is what I need for you to do. That is not hard. And instead of teaching people about the domestic, I'm not gonna talk about that, the Ministry of Labour and Social Security needs to scrap that program. But domestic training center to be subservient to Americans who come over here for tourists. Really? Really no. I'm asking, I utilize my platform. Yes, the JAtalks platform, what we do, we ensure that we get the facts, but I utilize my platform for my country. I have a genuine love for my country, which is why as an ordinary citizen I wrote the 70-page blueprint and I submitted to the government. This is not something that I'm being paid for, and if the government wishes to take up my ideas without compensating me, please free to do so. They actually already have it because I sent it to them via email. It was submitted to 3 different compartments, and I give the government the full permission to take on everything in that document without giving me without giving me recognition. That is quite fine. If it is going to be in the betterment of the country, I have no problem with that. I have absolutely no problem with that. But it cannot be that we're going to do business as usual. Andrew Holness, you cannot operate as how you operated in 2016. You cannot operate as how you operated in 2020. What is required of you is 100 times more than what you did the past 10 years. The type of leadership that is required from you needs to be amplified times 100, not by 10, 100. Because the times that we're living in right now, every day is a new surprise. Jamaica, this is a wake-up call for all of us. I will be going back to the drawing board as well. I'm also working on a policy document. I wrote several policies. I'm also going to be writing another policy document for specifically Jamaican citizens, because I feel like a lot of the times as citizens we feel like just because we just sit down and we're not working in government, there's nothing we can do. But every make a muckle, and there is something that you can do as well. There's always something that you can do as well to ensure that you are prepared for anything to come. Because guess what, unfortunately, right, and I wish this may not be the case, but unfortunately the worst is yet to come. No, not the best. The worst is yet to come. And when I advocate for sovereignty, when I advocate for money, it is not because you got party and you got braff and you got show off. And when I judge nobody, there's nothing wrong with that. But when you have money, you have access to proper education. When you have money, you have access to proper healthcare. When you have money, you're able to set up yourself and protect yourself. Because the reality is, should another pandemic come, right, or should World War come, guess who gonna suffer? Poor people. Guess who will go alright? Rich people. Or people who have money. So I'm calling on the Jamaican government, please look into the policy that was submitted to you on the 29th of January. Look into that policy. I considered all of these things prior to submitting it. I thank you. Walk good Jamaica, and always remember, please never forget that your independence is the foundation of your liberation. Walk good Jamaica.